Hello and welcome, and a fine Friday morning to you. I'm Jason Mackey alongside Michael McKenry, and this is Pitching In on the Post-Gazette sports podcast, YouTube, all that stuff, network. A lot of multimedia coming your way, but hey, there's not a ton to talk about with baseball, but you know what? Fort and I were just going back and forth for about 10 minutes before recording this thing, and we've come up with stuff to talk about. And so I'm pretty eager for this show. Fort, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, and I think it's really funny when I'm sitting here looking at this, Mackie. You're like 12 feet taller than me. And
I'm 12 feet taller than you in person, too.
I know, exactly. And I kind of had it like it was actual reality. And I was like, wait, I need to be a little taller here. So, yeah, I was just sitting over here kind of laughing in my head, and I started moving the camera around, giving it some special effects. But, yeah, we can always talk baseball. I mean, there's always something. It's just, is it interesting? You know, sometimes it's interesting to us, maybe not to everybody else.
Well, I don't really care about any of them. I care about us and the conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah, that's the Yinzer in you, I think, right there.
No, that's the Grateful Dead in me. That's the Grateful Dead in me. It's like, you know, they cared about their audience, but they didn't care about their audience.
That's why they loved them.
We're gonna play what we want to play and do what we want to do. And no, I don't mean that in like a nose up in the air kind of way. It's just like we're gonna talk about baseball, and hopefully y'all find it entertaining. If not, we entertain ourselves. So anyway, there's a lot to get into. Believe it or not, some of the stuff we're going to talk about here. Miguel Andujar. What's his future with the Pirates? What did we see this past season? I'm intrigued by it, and Fort and I are going to debate that a little bit. I want to get into the offseason a little bit, just being a weird time of year. Fort, we've got some news also. Brian Hayes, not really a surprise, but the Fielding Bible Defensive Player of the Year. Congrats to him. Can't say, again, I'm the least bit surprised. We're going to look at some of the playoff teams and what has happened, go from 100 losses in 2021, the way the Rangers, Diamondbacks did, to where we're at right now. I think there are some interesting parallels there, and I think it says something really fascinating about the Pirates, and we'll get into that. But first and foremost, Ford, we have a birthday on our hands, a very important birthday for a very important woman. You celebrated it yesterday. Jackie McKenry, 29 years young. I love it.
Yeah, she is 29. At least she looks it, maybe even younger. But yeah, we didn't go to Waffle House. I know you're disappointed, but we did not go to Waffle House. But
dude,
we did.
I did look at your Twitter, thinking like, "Dear God, please tell me he did not take Jackie to Waffle House. Please tell me he did not take Jackie to." And then you texted me pictures from Hocking Hills, and I was like, "All right, that a boy."
Yeah, and if you haven't been, it was. We stayed in a cabin that was made of shipping containers. I'll send you some pictures. It was so cool. You should take the family there.
Okay.
It's all reasonable. And I mean, just a beautiful place. She loves the fall. It's absolutely perfect right now to get out, you know, take a long hike. I think we ended up walking about 13 miles yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Of course, with me, you get lost. That's just the way it goes.
What do you mean?
I like to take weird, you know, lefts, rights. You know, she's very like, oh, let's go this way. She'll definitely get off the beaten path.
Okay.
But she knows how to get back. I'm like, hey, babe, just enjoy it. I got it. Well,
and you don't
hour extra. No, absolutely not. No, I always tell her, it's like, I'm a survivalist. A lot of times I love training and doing those things with military guys. But I said, you're the one that's going to keep us alive. Let's be honest. If there's ever an apocalypse, Jacqueline, that country girl's going to come out. You'll keep me alive. So, yeah, it was a blast.
That's Appreciate awesome, man. That's awesome. You got it. Happy birthday, Jackie. It's a great time for birthdays, too, by the way. My son Teddy had his birthday, Jackie's birthday, my birthday coming up in not too
How old are you going to be, sir?
Oh, God. Here we go. 4-0. 4-0. Yep. Old man.
Hey,
old man.
As long as you don't act it or looked it, nobody knows.
So true story. My wife was making fun of me relentlessly for this. I was conducting an interview, and I'm in my kitchen, and we have this piece of carpet in front of the sink that kind of moves. And so I go, you know how you just like walk around when you're on the phone. The house was empty. The kids were at school. Abby was doing something. So I just kind of like leaned back against the kitchen counter, and out goes the carpet. And I like saved myself by reaching back, but like the way I did it, I screwed up my back and shoulder, and I said, Ab, I'm officially an old man. I got hurt talking on the phone today. It was just pack it in.
You got hurt.
I'm done
on the phone.
I injured myself talking on the phone. There's no coming back from that.
And you can't go to the doctor.
Oh no.
Could you imagine? How'd you hurt yourself, sir? Well,
Well, she's a nurse, so it's like going to the doctor. You just get.
Oh, yeah.
She's also my wife and loves making fun of me, and I made fun of me too. I mean, I deserved every ounce of it. So
Does she have a nickname for you when you do something stupid?
nothing that I can say on the podcast.
Okay, well, I'm called Henry, so
Really?
yeah, Henry McKenry, like yeah, it's like my alter ego. I hear that a lot.
Okay. All right. Very well. All right. Let's get into some baseball talk, though. As much as we can make fun of me for a long, long time, but the Diamondbacks and the Rangers in the World Series, Fort. I did not have that one on the bingo card. I didn't have that one anywhere. Maybe the Rangers, maybe. But I still thought Houston was going to prevail. I thought there was too much experience. The middle of that lineup I thought was just too darn good. I was wrong. And I certainly thought either Philly or the Braves would wind up there. I did not see the Diamondbacks, and I don't think anybody else did either. But just, seeing this World Series matchup, what are your first thoughts?
I'm blown away, to be honest. I didn't see either one, and maybe I should have paid a little bit more attention that Bochy's the manager. That does play in a big way, especially this time of year. The way you use your pitching, the way that you can kind of talk to your guys. I'm sure that really helped Texas, but as bad as their bullpen was all year, I just didn't see it, and I definitely didn't see Max Scherzer coming back. I should have never bet against him, but letting him come back, I think gave that team a jolt, even though they lost the first one. And then he came back out. Now he's ready to go. I think he can go 4 or 5 innings in the World Series, maybe pitch twice. He was up to 94, 95. He looked really, really good. So they're a different team. And then the Diamondbacks, if you're a Pirates fan and you're not absolutely ecstatic seeing the Diamondbacks in the World Series and, doing what they're doing, you should be. Because in my opinion, we could easily be as good or better than them going into next year with our talent. It's just they play a different brand of baseball. You have to accept that. That's what they do. That's how they've been able to win, because they have a lot of ways to score, a lot of ways to get you out, and they play incredible defense.
Yep. I mean, I look at that, Fort, and that's the most encouraging thing to me is the style of baseball they play. And I guess also like how they built their roster. I think there's a lot there because, I mean, a lot of their guys are either smart trades or draft picks. They're obviously not big free agent signs. I think Mad Bum's still their highest paid player.
Yeah, I saw that today. It's wild.
Nobody's even close. I mean, that's all stuff as mad as people get about the Pirates. One of my comebacks, or like when I debate this with people, there's nothing that's stopping the Pirates from doing that. And like, trust me, there's a lot of people who have their professional futures tied up into this going well. They're not there, because Bob Nutting's running a con. They're not there because the Pirates are some like fraud franchise, which is, what your most hardened, disenchanted fans want to say. Like they want to just be mad about whatever. Like, no, there's a lot of scouts, analysts, cross-checkers, whatever, their professional futures are riding on the Pirates finding the right guys and developing them and turning them into major leaguers. I'm not saying they're going to do that. They might screw the whole thing up, but like, I guarantee you that they're trying. I guarantee you that they looked at what they've done in the past, they've changed it, and they're hoping the outcome is different this time. And it might be. I think it's still too early to judge, but again, I did a piece. I don't know if you've read it. Anybody watching or listening to this, I would point you to postgazette.com, sort of linking some of the similarities between the Diamondbacks and even the Rangers and the Pirates and how it plays with the Pirates. But in 2019, Astros had, I think, 7 of the top 75, or they had 7 of the first 75 picks. To me, that's like the Pirates in 2021, where you end up with 5 of the top 100. Like those guys have to hit. If those guys hit, you're going to have winning baseball. Now, we're still TBD because some of those guys are, Lonnie White Jr. is going to be in AA. You're going to have Solomedo, Bubba Chandler. They're not quite there. But, anyway, it's a long way of saying I don't think there's anything preventing the Pirates from doing what the Diamondbacks have done.
And when you look at the Major League roster, Mackey, what do you see that is the biggest difference? The one thing, just to kind of give you what I loved about the Diamondbacks, is their unity together. They embrace the chaos. I'm sure it came from Jeff Bannister. It's one of his sayings. Absolutely love it. Yeah. And just the way that they talked about each other, next man up mentality, that one heartbeat, all those, I would even say, hurdleisms that have been advanced to a different degree.
Yeah.
This is a team you can tell is player centric. I mean, 1000%. You could tell the Phillies were too. Phillies pretty much ran their team, and that's a different type of player-centric team. When you look at the Diamondbacks, you see a team that's led, but it is player-centric. Now, I think that's a special team. So that was the big takeaway I have, and what I think is the next huge step as an identity for the Pirates? I was kind of wondering what you thought the separation was between the two.
I actually go to the baseball stuff more. I'm not discounting anything you're saying. I mean,
that's why I
that
figured you would have
than me.
Yeah, I thought you'd have a really cool look at the baseball side.
Well,
and I wanted to look at that team aspect. It seemed like they were just on a different level.
To me, I look at Major League Baseball teams and say, you don't have to hit a ton of home runs, but you need to do other stuff well. And the Diamondbacks catch the baseball extremely well, like exceptionally well. They're reliable and they're, exceptional, going above and beyond defensively. Anchored by a very good, probably a Gold Glove winning first baseman, by the way, which I think is very important. They control
and catcher too, right?
Yeah, right.
Their catcher came up midway.
Yep.
And took off.
Throws well. And to another point, like they control the running game. They run a lot. They run efficiently. They don't make outs on the bases, and not a lot of teams steal bases on them. To me, that's a huge part. They do all of the things that should be attainable for a team that doesn't spend a lot of money. And what I mean by that is strong defense. Their pitching has been extremely good. I mean, you go back and look at their bullpen since, I don't know what the marking point is, but roughly the beginning of September, and then through the postseason, I mean, it's been absolute nails. Gallen, Kelly at the top of the rotation, and that's not just it. Like Brandon Fott, I keep saying Fat, Brandon Fott, and what he did. And there are other guys there, like pitching depth, quality of pitching. That's stuff the Pirates can do. That's stuff the Pirates have done. They need to do more of it and do it better, certainly. But that's the stuff that grabs me. And I say, like, I don't think the Pirates will ever be able to play a brand of baseball akin to what the Phillies have done. Like, they're just never going to have a lineup that has Bryce Harper, Nick Castellano. Not that many teams will, Kyle Schwarber or whatever. Like the boppers in the middle of there, like it's a pipe dream. But they can play better defense. They can run the bases better and did run the bases pretty well. They should have a catcher who can control the running game, that sort of stuff. So, I think they're part of the way there. I think their clubhouse chemistry and the stuff you're talking about is partially there. I think it's a different flavor of it. I think it's probably more motivational and team serious, like Band of Brothers type stuff. And I think it's probably a little looser with the Pirates right now. But I think you're seeing some of the leadership tenets or something like that. You would say some of the like personalities growing, be they Andy Rodriguez or O'Neal Cruz or whatever. You're starting to see some of those guys find their voice. Yeah,
I completely agree. And I do think that when you start constructing our roster going into next year, which I know this is going to segue right into Andujar, you see a team that could be really, really good. Now, some things have to hit, like you said, and that you cannot speak on enough. Things have to go well. I think with all the injuries that we had this year, it's just created more depth for us. More guys get our opportunities. More depth happens. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And I think that's huge for us. And I think the last thing is what the Diamondbacks had this year that I thought was really interesting is they took chances on sending guys down, figuring some things out, and then sending back up. Very similar to what Triolo did and some other guys on our team. And you can't be scared to do that. And the only way you can not be scared to do that is you have really good players in AAA and in AA that can come up, and whether they do damage or not, they get experience. They have a great placeholder, and then they can get back down there and you can bring up your guy again.
What I think, and this goes to the Rangers too, something I think that is identifiable with most teams that win, and that the Pirates need to do a better job of if they're going to win, is finding really good producers from nowhere. Adolis Garcia, twice DFA'd, is the best player in the postseason right now. Merrill Kelly's playing over in Korea, and the Diamondbacks get him. Like, you never know where you're going to find those guys. And we've seen the Pirates, do a lot of waiver claims and grab a lot of guys and take a lot of chances. And, to be honest with you, they haven't really hit on anything. I mean, they've had some guys for some performance, some pieces, but they need to, some of those chances that you take, they need to click. Like, you need to supplement that. And I guess the other thing I would just add is the drafting. A lot of people get mad about the Pirates coming out of 13, 14, and 15 and think about, like, what happened? Where did this go? And they want to bring up payroll. Like, I usually counter with the drafts. Look at how they drafted coming out of those years. Like, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, you opened my mind to that, because when I was playing, I wasn't thinking about it.
No.
But yeah, you really opened my mind to, they swung and missed a bunch.
Yeah.
They took big swings, and you can't miss. And if you do, you have to be really good down the line.
Right.
And they weren't good down the line either.
Yeah. And I mean, making trades, these teams have made generally pretty good trades, and the Pirates, didn't make good trades before. And frankly, this current regime has made some trades that aren't very good. If you look at like the Clay Holmes deal, or, even at this point, Jamison Tyone, I think Joe Musgrove, I can't really argue with that one. The Josh Bell trade has not been good. So I don't know where all of that lands when it's said and done. And I'm probably missing one or two more, but again, I look at a small market team going from or a smaller market team, I should say, going from 100 losses to the World Series. I mean, you got to do the small market stuff well. So anyway, if we talk a little bit more roster construction for it, this is a little bit of a hard left turn, but it's something you and I wanted to get into.
Hey, Miguel, I want to ask you one question off.
We're done. No.
I think you'll appreciate this.
Okay.
The last podcast we talked about Neil Huntington.
Yep.
And his entire reign as the Pirates GM, he didn't win. And then all of a sudden he's winning. And do you believe that a lot of times small markets, when they start winning, maybe they should hire some extra help or find a way to keep that sustainability in a different way? Because what you've always known is completely different now, and it's always harder to stay there than it is to get there.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you see from your perspective?
I think the Rays do it right, man. I think the Rays do an really awesome job of that, where they move guys up, and they obviously they do it internally. Like if you look at the succession of their like GM, president, who's gone where, Neander, Bendix, like these guys, they generally stay within the organization and bump guys up rungs and then like bring in, shift people around. Like you don't have a lot of outside change, meaning the people in charge of these things generally understand how the processes work. And I think fans, when they hear like spending on processes or worried about processes, like they think that's BS. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's certainly easier to hear.
I could argue that the advantage of a bigger market, the processes are way bigger than the players.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
I'll argue it till I'm blue in the face, and I could prove it with LA.
Yeah. Well, LA does a phenomenal job of doing both.
Exactly. And but it's because
they're a small market team that spends like crazy. I mean, it's a win-win.
Yep.
But I mean, that like, it makes sense. It makes sense. You're basically purging other organizations for players that they don't value enough. You're finding ways to improve your own players, be it through scouting, analytics, coaching, all this stuff. I mean, it's real. It's something the Pirates in the past have not done a good enough job of. It's stuff that they've gone to great lengths to revamp. And in some ways, I would argue they fixed it. Like you don't go, 5 games over 500 for more than 2 months, by accident.
Right.
But they've got some good young players. They've got some good young players that, they've acquired a variety of ways. And to me, like this is stuff the Diamondbacks have done well too. They've drafted well. They've acquired players well, even internationally. I mean, these are all areas that they're not negotiable. If you're not going to spend, you need to excel in these other areas. So
do you know when a team has hit a really special place? When people continually leave to a higher role in another organization. Yeah. And I mean, I always think about Alabama. Some of the best head coaches in all of football learn the processes, do some things, do their specialty, make that team better, and then leave.
Yep.
And that you see that in Tampa constantly.
Yep.
And you see that in a lot of different other places, like it just happened in Milwaukee. And I think once we see some of those things start happening in Pittsburgh, we know, a lot of things are in a great place, and we're going to continue to grow. Yeah. So that's where the processes to me are really, really important.
Does that mean you are thinking that the Pirates are going to lose a member of the coaching staff to one of the managerial openings?
I mean,
I know Andujar was next, but this is also something we were going to talk about, right? Well,
I heard Jason Mackey. Is that a name I heard thrown around?
It's according to sources.
It's wild,
guys. Yeah.
Have you ever seen 6 though? 6.
6?
There's 6 right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's like a hot potato, man. They just pop up. It's the same guy at every, every managerial, and it's guys that rotate in. I do hope Mike Schultz gets an opportunity. He's
Well,
a
he's next
great
man
man.
up in San Diego, right?
Rumor has it.
Yeah.
Rumor has it. But
Bob Melvin's running out of teams in California to manage, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen someone do what he's about to do. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's gonna be different for me.
Oakland, San Diego, San Francisco.
Yeah,
That's an interesting journey there.
It is.
I didn't see the Dusty Baker thing coming either. Maybe I should have.
I didn't either. I don't really go into the visiting clubhouse much, but every time he's there, I try to get in and say hello. And I did this year, and man, he seems so joyful. And I didn't see it coming either. And I'm sure he'll stay in the game in some way, maybe a special assistant or something. But I was talking to Hurdle recently, and he said he had to sign a contract with the home team. And I thought that was pretty cool. And he's still getting to do a lot of the things he loves. He just doesn't get to manage. And there's plenty of opportunities out there, obviously, right now. And I'm sure his name will be thrown in a hat. But, I think sometimes you just say, I think I need to slow down a little. So it's kind of cool to see.
No doubt. No doubt. What about Donnie Kelly?
Yeah, I'm honestly, especially you brought it up right before we got on, is that Houston job. Somewhere you've played is always, maybe speculation that you'll go back. And, with guys like Ryan Flaherty, name being thrown around, I thought I'd see Donnie Kelly's thrown around a lot more. I mean, there's a lot of younger guys, either my age or just a little bit older that are being, put in this mix. And Donnie's been in the league as a coach for quite some time, multiple different roles. And I mean, he's beloved throughout the league. So I wouldn't be surprised to see his name. I haven't heard that he's gone for any interviews or if he's even ready. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't think it's going to happen yet. I think he's going to manage in the major leagues. I believe that. I feel like we would have heard a little bit more hubbub, like his name would have been out there probably for Cleveland. That would be a good spot for Donnie to interview. And I don't think it's because Donnie's incapable, quite the opposite. I just think that, the Pirates probably haven't done the thing yet. And I think when they surpass 500, make the playoffs, do something like that, the people on staff are going to get a lot of shine and deservedly so. And so, like, I look at it for next year, if they're competitive, if they sort of meet the goals they're setting for themselves and they become the Marlins or even the Diamondbacks, what they did, make a little bit more noise, I think people are going to take note of who's on the coaching staff. And that starts with, obviously I don't think Derek Shelton's going to be interviewing for other managerial jobs in that case, but you'll see a Don Kelly, a Mike Rebello, that sort of thing. So I think it's a matter of time. I was a little surprised again because of what you said about the Houston Astros thing. He was their first base coach, I think highly thought of by a lot of people there, but have not seen him as a candidate, did not see his name surface in the Cleveland situation. So in due time.
Absolutely. And I hope they want to see it through.
Yeah.
I think they did get some taste of what they want to do and they want to see it through. And then, whatever have you after that is fine. But I think it's cool that maybe they just all want to see it through. Cause I thought I'd see Rebello and Donnie Kelly. And I've always said Andy Haynes will eventually manage in the big leagues. So those guys really stick out to me of potential guys that could go somewhere and either do a different role, a higher role, or be a manager.
Yeah. By the way, I buried the lead on this one, Fort, a little bit. We are brought to you, as always, by the NorthShore Tavern. I also have a quick story about the NorthShore Tavern, but if you love baseball, you will absolutely love this place. The interior is wall-to-wall pirate stuff. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. There's also a really good maple bacon chicken wrap, by the way. Open every day, the NorthShore Tavern, across from PNC Park, is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So I went over there for lunch today. I met a
bacon.
Yeah, maple bacon. Dude, it's sick. It was in like a street corn pasta salad. That's what I got for a side. I always get fries there. I love their fries, but switched it up a little bit and just a fantastic combination. Yeah, maple bacon chicken wrap with all kinds of stuff in there, onions, arugula, whatever. Absolutely rocked. I met a reader emailed me and have some stuff in common, some like ties to Westminster and whatever. But he said, I'll take you out for lunch. He said, anywhere you want to go? I said, NorthShore Tavern. So very enjoyable. Sorry to have buried the lead on that, but I think people know our affinity for that. Anyway, onward.
No, you're just throwing a little wrinkle in it.
Yeah, a
Like
little bit. Keeping everybody on their toes, I guess.
I like it.
All right. So we've kind of gone from the small market stuff, the John Kelly stuff. We teased the Andujar thing a little bit. Let's get into that. One, what were the Pirates doing this past season? And I'm not sure there's a great answer for this. And two, what do you see the future looking like for Andujar? I don't know if there's a great answer to that either. But I have my feelings, but I'll let you tackle it first.
So first, let's have some background on this.
Okay.
So we pick him up, and I'm excited. I think you're excited. I think the town's excited because we know this guy has had a track record of success. Injuries,
second in Rookie of the Year voting to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, and that guy's pretty. Yeah, that guy's pretty good. I played against him. He hits the ball extremely hard. He's very athletic, bigger than you think, and he does things that some guys just cannot do. And that's his ability to put bat on ball, his ability to hit the ball hard every time he hits it, almost. And you could see where, hey, he could really fit in. I didn't like the right-handed power bat at PNC, never do, but he's a guy that could be a potential person you could put in the middle of the lineup if he finds a position. Obviously, he's not going to play third base. I thought he played really, really well in right field for us. And then also first base was an option that I thought with time and opportunity, he could be very good. Here's the thing. He went down to AAA, and that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to play every single day, get every day at bats, because everybody will say, oh, he's only had one really good year. Well, yeah, it's because he played every day and he wasn't competing for his life or playing on an injury or all those things that happen when you're trying to survive in the big leagues, which is often forgot about, especially by fans and coaches and administrators. They forget how hard it is, and also how hard it is to play when you feel like you don't really have a spot. And that's exactly what it was this year. He went down, obliterated the baseball, played good defense, and was a team leader. And I think he proved to himself, more importantly than even the team, that he was the guy he thought he was. And then he came up, and I thought he did extremely well with limited playing time, limited opportunities. If you take away those last,
so why didn't he play more?
I cannot explain that, because he was getting paid. He was one of our top 10 highest players, highest paid players on our team. He went to arbitration, and we paid him to rake in AAA. And I thought it was because that's exactly the plan they had originally, is where can we get this guy every day at bats, see if it comes back together. It did. And then we didn't have a spot to play him.
Yep.
And I thought he could be an answer, at first base. He could be an incredible answer to float around and be a platoon guy, but I just don't know now. And I do know what's probably going to happen. And he's probably going to get designated because he doesn't fit at all. You're not going to pay a guy $3 million next year. That doesn't have a position that's going to compete with Kutch. He's going to compete with Henry Davis's bats. We just don't have the bats to go around, but I think he could have been special. And I don't want to say we're going to regret it, but we could.
This has that smell.
It does.
This has that smell.
It does.
So I'll track back the way you did for it and go through my feelings on this. I have no issue with what was done. He should have been sent down when he was sent down. He was terrible up here the first time. The at-bats were ungodly. I think he hit like 036 or something over his last 11, whatever it was. I didn't understand why they waited until September 1st. I still don't. For the reason being that I would have liked to have seen a larger sample size. If he stinks, he stinks. And then at least I'm looking, as you were talking, I'm pulling up the number of games and plate appearances that they handed out to Connor Joe and Alfonso Rivas at first base. And 275 plate appearances, 78 games. Why? Like, we know what Alfonso Rivas is, and should not be part of this team. And it's nothing against Alfonso Rivas. It's just like, you should be shooting higher, and
I didn't know why he was
be able to make your team.
He was confusing from day one. I'll be completely honest. I usually can find something. He wasn't good defensively all year.
Metrically he was.
Metrically he wasn't. I didn't even think he was metrically good when you look at it. I mean, compared to what they said, like when you have a standard of Santana, it's hard to say we got this guy for his defense. And he's raking. Well, he's raking on the moon. Yeah, he's playing in Albuquerque, and that play or El Paso. That place is like playing on the moon. So really inflated numbers. I thought he did have some really good moments, but yeah, he didn't fit to me, especially when we had other bats, other places. And I wish Indy would have at least gotten those first base at bats, or our boy Andujar, because it would have been nice to see what he could do. And I would just hate to see him go to somewhere like Cleveland and hit 25 homers next year.
Yeah, so that's my concern. The way I see this going in the future, I think they're going to non-tender him. I don't see, his ARB number comes back over 2. I think it's 2.2. I want to say this is his third time through. To me, that's just not an expenditure that makes sense. I mean, I guess you could. There's nothing stopping you from keeping him. But I mean, at that point, you're going to bring Kutch back. You're going to have Henry Davis. You're going to have Connor Joe. And then you're going to have Andujar. You're going to have 4 right-handed hitters that are all sort of the same, after the same stuff. It would be the greatest thing of irony, wouldn't it? Where like they would bring back Andujar and set him down at first base. Like he wasn't good enough to play first base when he was on the team. And you could have found it out. Now we're going to like take the gamble and say Miguel Andujar is our first. I hope not, but you never know. I've seen stranger things with this team. But even bringing him up in September, like there was an opportunity to get way more data than they got. Maybe they had their minds made up. I don't know. It certainly seemed like that, but it reeks to me of a situation where they non-tender him. If I'm Miguel Andujar, there's no reason I would come back to the Pirates ever. Like I'm going to, hold out hope. I'll sign a minor league deal with somebody that might treat me differently, or I might go overseas and go to Korea or Japan or somewhere, mash for a year and then like go at it again in 2025. I'm not sure. But it scares me that there's this guy that they had under and we've seen it all over baseball. They didn't get the most out of him, and somebody else will. And I worry that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, there's going to be too many opportunities for him, and better places for him to get a chance to play, and he's still going to make the money. It would be a surprise at all to see him get non-tendered and then get a big league deal.
You think so? You think another club will give him a big league deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how competitive his market will be once the market kind of shifts out. I mean, you look at the free agency market and there's some big names, but that's big money. And once that big money's gone, you're going to look for that diamond in the rough, and he's going to be a diamond in the rough in his prime, who just put up the best numbers in, you could argue, all of minor league baseball offensively. So he's proven it. Give him a chance to come into spring, do his thing. And even if he doesn't play well, if he's with a big market team or a market that can handle a little bit, they'll just send him to AAA, non-tender him, bring him back up just like we did. Yeah. But it would be for like $2 million or 1.8 or whatever have you. But yeah, don't be surprised to see him somewhere, getting an opportunity, especially at the big league level.
Okay. We got 2 more quick things to get to. Before that, though, I want to tell you about the Great Yinzer Tailgate. Brings the best of the Berg to South Point on November 4th. Showcases Pittsburgh's rich culture, iconic sports history, and vibrant community spirit. The Great Yinzer Tailgate will immerse you in the unique blend of traditions that make Pittsburgh legendary. You can visit thegreatyinzertailgate.com for details. I would encourage you to do that, by the way. It's a fantastic thing. Shows a bunch of like art and layout, and it's a really neat event. Basically like literally a Yinzer tailgate at a convention center with like, should make you feel like you're downtown. But anyway, that's November 4th. So I got 2 things for it. One, I want to know what we'll do the Brian Hayes thing first. Does this ultimately defensive player of the year, according to the Fielding Bible, which is a runaway winner at third base? It says yes to me, but does this mean he's winning a Gold Glove finally? It should. I don't see how he doesn't at this point.
Yeah, the only question I have is if he's going to have a platinum right next to it. That's the only question I have. I felt that way.
What would the hold up be? Why would it not be a platinum?
There's some arguments that you could maybe pick 1 or 2 other guys if you look at it deep enough. But yeah. he's special. And I think
I wouldn't understand that.
Well, if you take his whole year in account, like they have in the past, because that a little bit of offense always trickles in.
No
defense, yes.
No,
yes. Staying on the field matters. Because some of the guys have really, really good numbers, but they weren't on the field quite as much. So we'll see. I hope he does, and I think it's going to be a rinse and repeat for a while, very similar to what Nolan Arenado has done for some time now.
Agree. I'll co-sign that. I think that means platinum glove, gold glove, bronze glove, copper glove, whatever kind of glove he wants, just give it to him. It's that impressive. So, okay. You have one wish for the offseason, my friend. The Pirates are going to do a lot of things when the World Series ends. Stuff's going to be lifted. Moves will be made. We can only hope. Give me your sense of just the one thing that Michael McKenry wants them to do.
Wow. One? I got one?
And it's reasonable. I don't mean like, trade for Mike Trout or sign Ohtani or something ridiculous. I mean like in their wheelhouse. You have one.
In their wheelhouse.
Fort was not prepped on this question, by the way.
I wasn't. I mean, there's a name I wanted to bring up to you, and I didn't know this was coming. But I need a pitcher to throw out there for my number one. But Kevin Kiermaier is a guy I'd love for them to sign.
Really?
And I'll explain why.
Okay.
Kevin Kiermaier makes Henry Davis so much better automatically. He does exactly what Kutch needs.
Kiermaier. Wow.
The best defensive outfielder, I think, when he retires of all time is what Kevin Kiermaier is. Okay. With our huge left field, I think his opportunity to come in and be that roaming outfielder that we'll need and, still get 300, 400 bats, but play almost every day. I think he could be special. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He does some really, really cool things. And what he did for Corey Dickerson is where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
He went from the worst outfielder I've ever played with all the way down to Little League to a Gold Glove winner in Pittsburgh. He knows that. But he knew he could be better. He just had somebody in Kevin Kiermaier. And I was out there. I was learning how to play outfield in the big leagues at the same time as a opportunity to possibly make that team. And Kiermaier just poured into me as like he did Corey. If you were there, he was going to give you everything he had, and he thinks outside the box.
Now, how do you juggle playing time with Reynolds and Sawinski and Henry?
You don't. He's coming there to do exactly what he does, and that's play defense.
He's got to play.
He's going to play. Yeah, he's going to play all three outfield positions. First time in his career.
I mean, but so will Reynolds and Sawinski. And how do you play Davis? Do you play like right center, left center? It's like midget league.
Nope, this is where he's got to catch some. It's gonna change your team dynamic, but I think bringing in a quality defensive guy, if we don't get him early, we're gonna get him late.
Interesting.
But that's not my dream. My dream's a pitcher, and I just can't think of a name that off the top of my head because I've floated so many.
Yeah.
So you go first. Who would you bring in?
I want a pitcher, and I'm gonna go with Jack Flaherty. I'll keep it simple.
He was top 5. That was really good. I love Jack Flaherty. I'll go lefty.
I think the attitude's right. I think the leadership's right. I think the stuff is right. I think he needs an opportunity. He needs confidence. He needs something to run with, almost like AJ, like the right situation. And I think you've got a guy like Flaherty. If the top of your rotation is Flaherty, Mitch Keller, and Oviedo with Paul Skeens on the way, and I would hope that they sign another guy. And you've got some reinforcements like Velasquez, Brubaker, Burrows. Well, theoretically, Vince, we don't know that for sure. I like that a lot. I really do. I mean, but if that's your top 3 to start the season, I'm a big fan.
What's the left-handed pitcher in Detroit this past year? Had a really good year.
Eduardo Rodriguez.
That's my guy. Oh, since you took Flaherty, because I had Giolito on my mind. I had Madison Bumgarner on my mind. Believe it or not,
Giolito's very high for me.
Yep,
very high.
Yep. My dream, if you want to know my dream is Blake Snell signs in Seattle, which I know he wants to do.
Okay.
And we trade for one of those lightning bolts over there.
Oh boy.
And we have another sustainable asset that can pitch in the big leagues immediately with just electric stuff. Because they need a G1 base. They need athletic, versatile players to make their team better. And I could see that happening.
G1 Bay, get out of here.
You can't if you get Kevin Kiermaier.
Oh, he's got a 600 OPS. Where's he going? 628 career OPS.
I wouldn't say he was the whole deal.
Okay.
You got to throw some more love in there, but yeah I mean,
a lot of love in there.
But Seattle just seems to be able to I don't know what they're doing. I think they're cloning guys out there. Maybe it's a genetic experiment they're doing with pitching. They're just like, we'll trade our closer. Boom, 100 out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
They trade another guy. Boom, another 100 out of the bullpen. It's remarkable. So
I wouldn't mind them consolidating some of the fringe minor leaguers that I don't think have a great opportunity here, a group of which Bay would be one, to acquire something. That would be fantastic. I think it would be very smart. But like you said, I don't think Bay can't be it. You've got to sweeten the pot. I mean, we're literally talking about a 628 OPS. He's fast as all get out, but defensively in center field, it's been defensively at second base, it's been worse. Some mistakes on the bases. So anyway, it's not to talk about G1 Bay, but yes, as long as they address pitching in some form or fashion, and I think they will, I'm good.
I love the Flaherty. I love that one. I think it's really, really good. What about, I got one more for you to think about in a trade. The young kid, I'm bad with names, with the Twins, first baseman. He's never gotten a real chance. He's from the Pittsburgh area.
Kirilloff.
That'd be a great trade for us.
Wouldn't hate it.
Yeah. So I like
the Twins are going to give up on
that. They kind of already have, in my opinion. They keep running away from him. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. It's a long off season. A lot of stuff to do. I know we wanted to get into a little bit more off season talk. We won't. It's a weird period. Yeah, we've been at this long enough. We don't need a 40+ minute podcast in the offseason.
And we're going to do it every week.
I know.
We're going to do it every week. So we'll be able to get more into it.
But it's a weird time. Just not a lot of transactions and stuff. I think that'll, obviously for reasons, teams are bound to, not do a whole lot, but I think that'll change. Anyway, subscribe. You can check out all of our content every week. Here, as Fort mentioned, pitching in, brought to you every week, of course, by our friends at NorthShore Tavern. There's stuff for Steelers, Penguins, Penn State, Pitt, you name it. We have it on this channel. For Michael McKenry, I'm Jason Mackey. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Apple Podcast channel for more podcast content. Click below for a special deal of 99 cents for a 3-month subscription to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Good stuff.
As always. Nice work, sir.
Are you by chance going to winter meetings?
Yes, I definitely will.
Okay.
Why? You?
I'm debating about it. I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
So,
why?
I don't know. I've always wanted to go.
Okay.
Oh, why am I going to go?
Why are you debating? Why are you going to go? What?
That's where I want to put my focus is the thing. So I'd probably shadow some. So I don't know if I want to ask if I may ask the Pirates, someone with them, but I would call Colorado, shadow them a little bit, and then shadow maybe an agent or two. And then also I'd love to kind of wander around with the crew. Yeah. See you. And then if you're there, maybe even do some podcasting.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Interviewing and stuff. So yeah, I was wondering, North Shore 9 asked me too, if they're going actually too. So 2 of them are.
Yep.
But yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. Sorry.
No, if I can help in any way, let me know. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Shadow. We'll hang out. I'd love it.
Absolutely.
Podcast. I'd love it.
Yeah. And it's in Nashville. So why not?
Yeah. You can give me a tour. Actually, I know my way around decently well.
Yeah. It's such good food though. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's good to know. That kind of increased my, maybe chance of going.
Dude, you should absolutely do it. That would be fantastic.
All right. Done. Talk to Mom about it.
All right, buddy. Oh, and tell Jackie we're trying to make it so Abby goes. That's not final, but we're hoping to have it. Abby and I have talked about it as a trip for us. So if that influences Jackie, I don't know. But
yeah,
a little couples trip.
Yeah, well, that'll definitely have an influence.
Okay.
So cool.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.
Brother. Talk to you later.
Bye.